I tallied the votes and this is the video you guys chose. Make sure to vote for next video by clicking the link at the top of the screen. What's up my Net Soldiers, I'm the Net Alliance, and today we have the question, what if Count Dooku killed both Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Attack of the Clones? Now before I begin, let me just state, this is just my opinion, like I say in every single one of my videos. So if you have a different opinion, that's okay. Let me know that in the comments below. Also, if you are new to the channel and you have an idea for a future video, whether it's a theory, a versus, or even a ranking or anything like that, make sure to check out all my playlists, because I may have already done the video and you can check it out. And I'll put a link on screen right there at the top right corner, right there. All right there. Now with all that out of the way, let's begin. So let's set up this scenario. We are in the Geonosis hangar at the end of Attack of the Clones. Dooku had just defeated Obi-Wan and Anakin and now faces Yoda. Now the duel goes just as it does in the film. Dooku runs out of time, he crushes the base of the nearby pillar and it begins to fall on both Anakin and Obi-Wan. But before it does, Yoda is able to catch the massive object, using the Force. And then Dooku retreats into his ship. However, instead of just going into his ship and flying away, like he does in the film, what if he looked back at Yoda and he saw his former master actually having problems keeping that pillar afloat? And he takes advantage of the situation. Pathetic, the Count says, shooting a blast of Force lightning at the old Jedi Master. The hit struck Yoda hard, slamming him against a nearby wall. Due to what Count Dooku did, Yoda was not able to hold the column up any longer, causing the massive chunk of steel to crush both Skywalker and Kenobi, killing them. After this, Dooku would escape in his ship. Of course, Yoda would still live, but would feel remorse for not being able to save the Jedi. And Padmé would lose Anakin. So how much would Anakin and Obi-Wan dying at this event truly affect the entire Star Wars universe as a whole? Well, let's explore. What impact does this put on Yoda and the Jedi Council? Well, although Obi-Wan was a pretty big name among the Jedi, Anakin was shaping up to be a great asset as well. However, I'd say not much would change in terms of what the Jedi would be doing during the Clone Wars. I still think they'd become generals, I still think everything would still go the same, but I'm sure Anakin and Obi-Wan's involvement would be missed. In fact, I think a better question would be, how big of an impact would Kenobi's and Skywalker's death be on the Clone Wars entirely? For although I do believe the Jedi Order would relatively be the same, both Anakin and Obi-Wan had a massive impact on the tide of the war at some points, especially once Anakin became a Jedi Knight and had an apprentice of his own. So although we could say another Jedi could have just taken Anakin's spot, few Jedi were able to actually match Anakin in terms of lightsaber skill and pure Force power when he was at his peak. So I'd say, although not having Obi-Wan during the war would cause some problems, not having Anakin would surely impact the war completely. In terms of Anakin's former apprentice Ahsoka Tano, I think she would still become a Jedi, but I don't think she'd be as strong as she was with Anakin's training. Of course, I can't supply any evidence, but I'm just going to assume that due to the fact that Anakin is really powerful and Ahsoka is really powerful herself, and if Anakin taught her everything he knows, you just assume that she's pretty powerful. So I'm just going to assume she's pretty dang strong. So based on that logic, if she had a different master, she may not become as powerful and may be killed in Order 66. Now, in my opinion, probably the biggest impact Anakin and Obi-Wan's deaths would actually have is on the deaths of Count Dooku and General Grievous. You see, a massive reason why Dooku died the way he did was because Sidious wanted to replace him with Anakin. So Palpatine orchestrated the plan to kidnap the Chancellor with Dooku. But since there's no Anakin, there is no plan. And unless another Jedi rose to pique Palpatine's interests, but I highly doubt that, I don't believe he would actually remove Dooku. So we could assume if Dooku wasn't killed in the war, he wouldn't have been betrayed by Palpatine, or at least not yet. Also, Grievous was only hunted down and killed by Kenobi because of Dooku's death. So while I do think that Palpatine probably would have had Grievous killed anyways around the time he executed Order 66, I do think Grievous would have lived longer than he does in the films. So essentially the Clone Wars would continue until Palpatine was found out, or at least close to being found out. He'd still execute Order 66, and if he did find a new apprentice, either Ventress or Maul or anybody, he may even get Jar Jar if he's that desperate. He'd have Dooku killed, or at least he would attempt to kill Dooku. Either way, even if he didn't have a new apprentice, if he were to rule the newly formed Empire and keep the Senate that hasn't been dismantled yet happy, he would have to take out the Separatists and their leaders. So ultimately, either through betrayal or other means, Count Dooku, Grievous, and the other Separatist leaders would be slain. But with all these points, there is one character left out: Padmé. What would Padmé do during the Clone Wars? I personally think she'd be pretty much the same, except for one thing. I think she may actually desire to crush the Separatists due to Anakin's death. In the films, she is known for being very level-headed and not wanting war, but because of her love's death at the hands of Count Dooku, it is possible to assume she may become more pro-war than she is in the films. But ultimately, with Anakin and Obi-Wan dead, I think Palpatine's ascension to Emperor is pretty much assured. Now you may be thinking, but wait, Net, if Anakin was dead, that means Mace Windu would have killed Palpatine in their duel. And to that I say, no. Because Mace and the other Jedi only attempted to arrest the Chancellor when Anakin told them he was a Sith Lord. And if you remember, Anakin's dead. So no Anakin? No attempt to arrest Chancellor Palpatine. Now that's not to say that Mace Windu and Palpatine wouldn't actually fight in this alternative timeline, but like I stated, the means in which they fought in the film would be completely different. And like I stated before, if both Anakin and Obi-Wan were to die in Episode 2, I personally think it would be a lot easier for Palpatine to become Emperor. Though, if he doesn't want Dooku around anymore, he would have to find a new apprentice. And considering how strong Anakin actually is, he's probably never going to find another person as powerful as him. But hey, there's always Jar Jar. But of course, this is just my opinion. Let me know your opinion in the comments below. What do you think would happen? Remember to like and subscribe for more videos, and until next time guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.